Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, good morning, good morning out there. I wanna begin before I start with our positive message that we've been starting our shows here at Off the Shelf with on Saturday mornings. I want to start by just sending blessings and well wishes to the folks in Florida and the Caribbean and coming up the East Coast and to the Carolinas where Hurricane Irma may hit. We know Texas got hit by Hurricane Harvey not too long ago, and then two more hurricanes supposed to be actually in development right now. So sending you love and best wishes, and be smart, and you know, you're more valuable than a house. You can replace a house, as they say, but not you and the good works you're here to do. So be safe and keep your family safe, and we're thinking about you and sending you love and warm wishes and a lot of smart thinking here from Off the Shelf. So wishing everybody the best. And next, we want to leave you with, start our show with our positive message, our quote for the day. And not sure who the quote is attributed to, so it's anonymous as far as who came up with it. But the quote is, push yourself because no one else is going to do it for you. I know I'm guilty of this myself. We want somebody to come rescue us. And I think there's a lot of times why people even get married. I want somebody to come in my life. I don't have to worry about so much of me anymore, and I can just give them this part. But to really, really achieve our greatness, we have to really remember what we are, who our Creator is, and what we are, because we've forgotten. And then push yourself, or allow yourself might be another word, to achieve your greatness, because nobody else is or can do it for you. So I want to welcome you with that message, and hopefully it's something you'll chew on for this week until we see you next Saturday. But welcome to Saturday. Can you guys believe it's September the 9th? The leaves are already starting to change color and fall off the trees, which I hope that you'll enjoy watching. I enjoy watching the seasons change. Thank you so much for joining us here as we move into our 13th year. We have a wonderful, I think we're going to be blessed this morning, an awesome author who has a lot of real-life things to share with us today for Off the Shelf, and I'm excited to introduce her to you. But before we do, Off the Shelf listeners, I always ask you how good of a mystery sleuth are you, and how important are relationships. Not just romantic relationships. They're not the only relationships that influence and shape us. Our parents influence and shape us, our friends, the people we may have toxic relationships with, they influence us, and we influence them. Maybe we're here to influence each other. So it's not just one type of relationship that does that. If you value that, you see the inherent good, the good possibilities in that, in relationships. We know how we can steer each other astray, but we can also help get each other on a better or a right track as well. Again, if you value those things, I encourage you to get a copy of Love Pour Over Me. You can get Love Pour Over Me in ebook or in print format. If you don't see it on the bookstore shelf, just ask the clerk to order a copy of Love Pour Over Me by Denise Turney for you, and they can have it shipped to the bookstore, especially for you, because Love Pour Over Me is carried by the largest book distributors in the world. So I hope you'll go out and get a copy. You could click over now to Amazon or Walmart or Barnes & Noble and get an ebook copy of Love Pour Over Me, even as you enjoy today's show. And now let us go and meet our very special off-the-shelf guest. And our special off-the-shelf guest this morning is Theresa. I hope I say her last name correctly. Theresa Orecchia. I hope I got that right. Now, Theresa is a member of the Treasure Coast Writers Guild of Fort Pierce, Florida. Oh, she's in Florida. I hope she's not in the path of the storm. And in addition to being a writer, Theresa is a wife, a mother, and a grandmother. She graduated from the University of Delaware, West Virginia University, and Midwestern University, Chicago College of Pharmacy. So she loves to learn. And Theresa is the author of the books Receive Their Messages, Hear Their Voices, and Whispering Messages. Again, Receive Their Messages, Hear Their Voices, and Whispering Messages. You're going to find out a little bit more about who's the they she's talking about. Receive messages from whom? Who's whispering messages? And you can check Theresa out online at TheresaMOrecchia.com. And I'm going to spell that. TheresaMOrecchia.com. And again, TheresaMOrecchia.com. I'm excited, you guys. I'm so excited. We are honored and appreciative to have Theresa join us this morning on Off the Shelf Book Talk Radio. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Off the Shelf, Theresa.
Well, hello, Denise. How are you? It's so good to be here. And I want to say I am not in Florida now. We have our home in Delaware, so I am safe up in Delaware, but I have been watching the hurricane progress in Florida, and each time I do and see the warnings, I just send angels. I say, please be with them, and that's all I do, send angels and to help and guide and protect the people, everybody down there, to guide them to safe places and just direct them on what to do and how to do it also.
Yes, and I appreciate that for those of us who aren't there. And then, like if you have family, you can invite them up. You can't make somebody come up, but invite them up, make them feel welcome, to let them know, if you're looking for a safe place, you can come hunker down
Absolutely.
with us. So it is truly a pleasure to have you with us on Off the Shelf this morning. And, so many guests we've had, I'm amazed at what they go on to do. We've had guests who've gone on to be on, they're like CNN regulars, have their own show, one on TV One, regional TV, radio. It is just such an honor to do this. And so I'm excited at what you're going to share today and what you're going to do with yourself, your life in the future. But so before we launch in to today's questions, I don't like to just go right in because we have a lot of guests who've come on Off the Shelf, but to give our listeners a little backstory on each guest. So the first 3 to 4 questions I ask all of our guests who come on the show. So to begin, Theresa, can you tell Off the Shelf listeners where you grew up and what life was like for you growing up?
Okay, I grew up in Wilmington, Delaware, and in a small town called Ellesmere, and I have 3 siblings, 2 sisters and 1 brother. My father was an iron worker, so he worked to keep his family, educated, and I went to Catholic school, grade school and high school, all together in the town. It was a small one. I think I had like 71, 72 graduating in my high school. So it was a small town life. And then after high school, I did not go to college. I went to work, and then I found a friend, and she dated a guy from West Point, and I was so totally excited, so I wanted to go to West Point, and needless to say, I fell in love with a West Point cadet and dated him for 3 years, and we married, and I traveled around with him, but that was at the time of the Vietnam War, and so he went over to Vietnam, and he was trained as a helicopter pilot, and then took a hit. So he was killed in action over there. So I was 25, and that turned my life around. I mean, it was a shocker. I mean, I had an ideal life with my family. Everybody was quite loving. We had extended family, cousins, and all, and And then this happens to me, and I was angry. I was so totally angry. I mean, looking at life, and that's when I questioned a lot. What is life all about? What is this? This not supposed to happen to me? And I took a lot of time searching and being angry, and long time just looking and searching and trying to figure things out. And in that time period when he was killed, I did go to college. Then that's when I started school, and then in school I had no idea what I was going to take. I just took classes and then just started developing things that way and searching, and things started opening up for me. And I continued to do from school to graduate school, so that's where I went to West Virginia. And things started, it was in West Virginia, I think I really started to look around. I kind of like opened the curtain and start peeking out. Okay, what's in there? Okay, I'm receiving life now. I can start handling what's going on. And I think that's where I started to returning and looking at reading books, and angels started coming into my life at that time. Excuse me. But I didn't really know what they were. I just started realizing I was receiving messages and direction. I started paying attention to them, and my life got a whole lot easier then. And I just started following my intuition, not realizing how guided I was becoming. And then it was going through all that, and then traveling different places back to Washington, D.C. and stuff for different jobs that I really paid attention to intuition, made my way back up to Delaware, and then I met my present husband. So that was 10 years in the making for that progress. And so I've been married to him for 34 years now. And so life has gotten good. And then, let me see, I didn't go to pharmacy school until I was 45. So,
well, go ahead.
And that was,
go ahead.
Yeah. So if anybody says I'm too old, I'm going to hit them over the head and say, no, you're not. And I know I was directed for that and went through, because of my background, I went through school in 3 years because I had a big science background and made it through pharmacy school. And with pharmacy, I was out there and I was like, how am I just counting pills or whatever? But what happened is people were coming to me and with different things, and I was understanding what was going on. And I actually helped several people. One person came back and said that I had saved her life because she was having a stroke and didn't realize it, and I got her to the hospital. She was at my window, and so I was talking to her about medicines, and I knew something was wrong, so we got her to the hospital. And it was things like that. It was like, oh, I'm where I'm supposed to be, and life is really making sense to me now. So,
how many
and
years
let me see about and then I just kind of evolved into meditating, and a lot more came, and I started getting a lot of messages, and I would write them down, not really paying attention to what I was doing, and I went back to start, and I started reading them, and I thought, oh my goodness, I've got some good messages here, and I showed it to my husband, and I said, look what I wrote. And he said, you wrote that? I said, yeah. And that's when I knew that I was receiving messages and words from the angels. And I cleaned up my first set of messages, and that's Hear Their Voices. That's my first book.
Okay.
And so that I cleaned it up, because it was just random messages that I was writing and realized that I was receiving words, and it was the angels. And I started really developing a relationship with the angels and understanding and knowing them. So that's how all that's come to be in probably a very long way.
Wow. When you were a little girl, two questions. First of all, how long, for those who are struggling, because we do reach parts, and I think about this sometimes, and I did when I was a real little girl. It was amazing to me. I told the Lord I'd stay here if the Lord would talk to me, because so many of us, what still amazes me is the Lord, Creator, whatever, love, Creator, is not what we call it, but it created us, but it doesn't seem to know how to get through to us very effectively. And so when it doesn't get through, it's like the thing it created is blamed. It's some kind of way that's got to be fixed. So it's like, okay, it starts with point A. Point A can't get through to point B. Something's got to be done to fix that. But what I wanted to ask you two questions. The first one was, how long between your first husband passes? So many of us struggle with things, and I think a lot of our struggles, some we can really understand, like somebody suddenly passed away, somebody you love is murdered. But then also some we worry about what other people are thinking. So some of our pain we bring on ourselves. We really choose to just rev ourselves up. So I wanted to ask you, after your first husband passed, how long was it, though, before you came to a point where you're like, okay, I'm willing to at least be open to maybe looking at this a different way?
At least 4 to 5 years. At least 4 years.
Wow.
At least 4 to 5 years. Wow. It was a struggle, and it was a progress. But going through school, and I could visualize how long it took, because I went to the University of Delaware, went to school basically to lose myself. I was anonymous down there, so I didn't have to answer to anybody. I could just kind of float around and read books and study, and then things started opening up, and I started to have relationships with people, and found out, the world was still going on around me. So, but that took me a good 3 to 4 years to come to that realization. Yeah.
Wow, and you kept going.
I did. It was. I'll have to admit, it was very, very hard. And when people say, I know your sorrow, it was like, I think unless you really travel through it, you don't. You could say the words, but unless you felt the pain is. I think it's the worst pain in your heart that you could ever have without having a heart attack. Yeah,
that type of loss of people who lose their. I know a woman who just had come home from her mother's funeral and her only son had passed. So it's those types of things where you're like, yeah, you do have to walk through that to really know just how much that can hurt. I wanted to ask you next, what did you dream of becoming when you were a kid? You went to college at the University of Delaware, but when you were a little girl and you thought about, this is what I want to be when I grow up, what did you dream of becoming?
That's interesting, because I never dreamed. I knew what I didn't want to be. Right. A lot of my, in my genre, most people were becoming teachers and nurses, and I'm there. No, I'm not there. But I wanted to communicate with people. I wanted to be in the communication and talk and help, but I didn't know where that fit, because of the genre put women in certain cubbyholes. And so I didn't like doing that. So I knew I was different, let's put it that way, because I just didn't want to be fit in a cubbyhole. But my dream was to just reach out and expand and travel. I had the travel bug in me from grade school, I think. I wanted to get out there and travel and do something with that and communicate. But not teaching and not nursing. And what do I go in? Pharmacy, and what am I doing? I'm teaching people. Isn't that all right?
I was going to ask you what inspired or birthed the writing in you, but you know what? It sounds like your path almost happened organically or very naturally. It didn't. it sounds like a lot of where you ended up wasn't by conscious design. It was just, you kind of just got there without really thinking about it. So I want to ask you this before we start talking about the angels and your books in particular. Do you believe, and I heard somebody say this once, and I didn't agree with it, and I don't fully now, everything that happens is supposed to happen. And despite what you're feeling or dealing with right now, you're right where you're supposed to be. This far, having the experiences you've had so far in your life, and this is just one person, there's other people with a zillion other experiences. Would you agree that no matter what's going on, you're right where you're supposed to be right now?
For me, I believe that I am. That because, and the reason being, I am real comfortable. I just feel it. I know it. If I'm in a situation and I'm real uncomfortable and getting negative feelings, I just know it was like that is not supposed to be for me. I am. So I ask for guidance to get out, to move out. So some things are meant to be, for sure, but you always have to know you have free will. So when you have free will, things are presented to you, but whether they are supposed to happen in effect is your free will. So does it happen for you to experience it? And if you are, you will go through it easily. If you aren't and you choose it, you'll go through it with difficulty. So there's another twist for you.
That's very interesting, and I've heard that said as well. But then on the other end, I've had people say, I agree with what you said, but I've heard some people say, oh, we go through struggles, like people in the Bible, because God is trying to sharpen us or somehow take something out of us or bring something to our awareness or strengthen a part of us. So some people think the struggle is, yay, good, I'm being worked on, but I agree with you. I think and this ain't going to work. I think you can fight it for a long time, but hopefully something will happen to get you back on the right path. What was the experience
like I said, if you are going through a struggle and you are handling it easily, it's like not a real struggle. It's you're experiencing it and you're growing your soul. And if you are moved through it easily, and it is a struggle, but if you just kind of move through it, then it's meant to be. But it'll be easy. And I don't look at things as God doing things to us. I just think as experiences are presented to us that we, are meant for us to experience or not to experience. Free will. So,
okay.
Yeah, does that make sense?
What was it? It does. It makes sense. Yes. What was the experience like, Theresa, the very first time? And I don't know if you've ever heard before you go into that the book, The Art of Allowing. There's this couple who said that they started hearing from angels. The wife was meditating, and all of a sudden, after I forget how long she was meditating, her head would start to turn certain ways, and then she started to realize she was getting messages, and whichever way it would move, it meant like something, but I forget the couple's name. The Art of Allowing is a book. That's how she said it started happening for her. But what was the experience like when you first heard from angels? And were you afraid? Did you think this is only my subconscious mind talking to me? Did you doubt where it was coming from? Did you think, oh my God, I'm going crazy? What was that first experience like?
I wasn't afraid. I was meditating, and then I felt a feeling come over me, just like a whirling around me of good love, and all of a sudden I felt this tingling going up my spine, and then my whole body just kind of moved. I felt it move up. I mean, I'm not levitating or anything like that. I just kind of straightened up more, and I felt it, and I lifted my head, and I just felt totally surrounded and at peace. That peaceful feeling was overwhelming, just overwhelming. So then I knew that angels or some higher being was coming with me, was surrounding me, and I just said, I asked, who is this? Who is it? And the angels, the picture of angels kept coming to me. So I felt comfortable, and I said, okay, I receive you. So they're surrounding you, but they can't do anything until you open up and say, yes, you can come in. So I said, yes, you can. And then as far as what the words I receive, and are they my words? Is it my subconscious? It's interesting. I did question that in the beginning, but then as I was writing, I received their words, and these stories are directly from them, and then I would start reading it a little bit, stop typing, read it, and then start typing again, say, oh, I know how this story's going to go, and I start typing, and all of a sudden the words that were coming in my mind stopped. And it was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And then something told me, so I backed out several sentences, sat there and waited, and then the words would come and I would finish the story. And it was completely different from what I thought. So I've really learned to work to keep my mind out of it.
Okay. In Whispering Messages, that's your first book, correct?
No, Whispering Messages is my third. Hear Their Voices is my first.
Oh, Hear Their Voices. Why did you decide to put your angel experiences in book form? Were the messages that they were giving you specific for you, or what was happening? Was it like people around you that were the messages about? Is that why you decided to put it in book form?
No, I think I was directed on that. As I went back to read them, I realized that there were the stories had a lot of meaning to them, and that I thought other people could benefit from. And so I think the angels were using me to get these stories out. They're simple, they're easy to read, and that's what I saw. They're nothing like real heavy that somebody has to think about it, because a lot of people just want something light, but it impacts them when they receive it. So I evaluated all that. I thought, something just came, and I said, Michael, I want to. Michael's my husband. I says, I want to publish this, and he said, what? And I said, okay. And without thinking or talking, I just said, Balboa Press. That was it. I mean, so I was directed on that, and the words just came, and because I said, okay, when I said I have something here, I think it's very meaningful, and he agreed. And then I said, I'm going to do it. And then the whole door opened up.
Okay. Isn't that something?
Mm-hmm.
The whole door opened.
It's amazing when you just start working with the angels and letting the other side help you. And, again, you still have free will. So you can say, no, I'm not going to do that. And then they'll back off, and then you'll find out how hard life really is.
So give us an example, before you give a brief overview of Whispering Messages, give us an example. I don't think most of us hear from angels. I would say most people don't, but I don't know that for sure. But give us an example of when, whether it's through an angel or some other, could be like Christ, when you're being led by love. What's the difference between that? Because we live in a world where we make decisions. Am I going to wear these? Am I going to wear blue jeans, or am I going to wear a skirt? Am I going to wear sneakers, or am I going to wear sandals? We do have to use that part of our mind in this world. So it can be difficult. Then we have other people, like when I was talking about the book Love Pour Over Me, other people influencing us. Your parents says do this. Your supervisor says do this. Some local government says, stop, slow down right here. There's a school. It's not where we get influenced to do things from so many angles, How can a person know I'm on the right path? What is that? What are some signs I'm going the right way? I know you said when it feels comfortable or it's easy, but you'd say I'm going the right way, or oops, I'm going the wrong way. And before you answer, I think of people like Harriet Tubman, who is credited with doing more to stop slavery as one person than anybody else in history, slavery in the United States. She had it rough. At the beginning, she tried to get some sense of freedom different ways, working to buy her freedom, and then that didn't work, and that didn't work, and that didn't work. Then she got on the Underground Railroad, but it was still struggles, people hunting her down for her life. But she knew she was doing the right thing. So it's not that it's going to be easy. What are some of the signs that I'm on the right path versus I think I need to throw in a towel?
Oh, some of the signs. Well, for me, basically, I could feel energy when I feel negative, when thoughts come over me, or we're about to make a decision. A lot of times, it was like my husband would say, "How do you feel?" and I'll think about it, and I just get like the image of what the decision's going to be just seems like it's going away. It's not enveloping me. It's at a distance. It's going away, and I just say I don't feel comfortable about it. There's something wrong. We have to look for it, and so I feel it. And then when I'm looking and thinking about what to do or a major decision, I'll be walking along and I'll just tell the angels I'm struggling. I don't know, give me your guidance. They will not tell you what to do. They will present to you, and I'll just say I'm thinking in this way. I'm thinking I should do this. Can you give me a sign? Should to go that way? Is that good? Is that with God? And a lot of times, I will receive a feather as a sign from them that all is going right, all is in order, and that's why I have a feather on 2 of my angel books, because that's what I receive. A lot of people I've talked to, will see a rainbow or something like that. But you don't have to necessarily see anything, but you just kind of know. When I just think of you're looking for physical signs, am I correct?
No, it doesn't have to be physical. I'm thinking about not myself in specific, but even for other listeners. So you said it just feels like, even if you're in a struggle, like I gave a Harriet Tubman example, is
exactly. But she knew
deep within.
And so when she
way.
would be in one area and it was not working, she knew to go to another. She kept trying her areas until she found the one that worked. But her goal and what the angels were trying to get her to, or her guides from the other side, were probably working to get her into that Underground Railroad thing. But she had to push these other things to see if that was the door to be open. And when it wasn't, she was wise enough and to move away and try another door. But she knew, she felt it in her to. But when the door is presented to you, and that's what I tell people, open the door and find out what's in there. And if it's not right, close it and go to another one.
Why? Then you would wonder again. Like I said, with the guy who wrote The Pursuit of Happiness, he said the cavalry is not coming. There's nobody coming to rescue you. So you get these doors presented to you. You open one and you go, oh crap!
Shut it fast.
Oh crap! I shouldn't have married this person. Or, oh crap! I shouldn't have took this job. And then you say, oh, let me get out of here.
Right. And I've done that. I've been in a couple of jobs. It was like, oh dear, I shouldn't be here. But I made the best of it. Okay, I'm going to learn something from here, but in the meantime, I'm there. Direct me. Please direct me out. Direct me out. And then I'd have to wait until they got everything in place to move me out. But, I've opened the wrong doors. I'm going in.
I think the thing that I know for myself, and I always feel like God should do this, just tell me where to go. Tell me the steps to take. Tell me, you created me. So this all started with you. You show me where to go. You tell me where to go, but it does not work that way. And then I wanted to ask you, do angels speak using words and the same language that the person they're communicating with uses? Some people are more emotional, so maybe they would use more emotion with them. Some people are very logical. They like to see things in step order. Do they communicate the same way the person they're communicating with generally communicates?
They will communicate in a manner that the person that they're working with needs to understand. Somebody that is determined and strong and stuff like that, they will come through strong also. Somebody that's emotional, they have to be very careful and come at a way that that emotional person can receive them without reacting. So that for each personality down here, the angels will take on that personality or that method in order to get through to them. And sometimes they have to be strong. They almost have to hit you over the head. I mean, I know Michael Archangel is a very strong one, and he's come through. He did the intro in my first book, and what he has to say, when he comes through loud and strong. But then there were other angels that were a lot softer with what they were saying, and I would have to ask them to speak louder. Now, mind you, I'm receiving through my mind, but when someone is looking for direction with their life, the angels, they probably won't hear anything coming through in their mind or things like that because they're so caught up with struggling, but the signs that the angels will send them, and signs could be a billboard, it could be a radio station, could hear the music or something. The words that are being played on the music could be directed just for that person. So there's all kinds of ways that they communicate, but they do communicate in such a way that the personality should be able to receive it.
And then also, do they speak to us, Theresa, through dreams? Do we have our dreams? Because I know the subconscious is incredibly powerful. It is absolute. There's not a good psychotherapist that doesn't know the power of our own minds. I mean, they're incredibly powerful. So that's why I say sometimes it's hard to know. Did I just hear something from my subconscious? Or where did that come from? Or do angels speak to us through dreams? I know our subconscious mind will cause us to have dreams.
Right, and you'll know if it's from the angels or the other side, because the subconscious is always playing, and when you're sleeping, the stuff during the day, starts sometimes replays in your mind. That's why a lot of people wake up and they say they can't sleep. But when you do dream and the angels come, you will remember it. It will be strong, and it was like, oh my God, I thought about this, and this is what I saw, and it fits right in, or it's coming my way. It. I mean, it's strong. So that's why it's not from the subconscious. Subconscious dreams are like transient, and you'll wake up in, a transient dream would be. You might be something happening at work, and it might be playing over in your mind and stuff like that, and you'll wake up and say, oh, my God, that person really made me mad. That's not from the angels. That's subconscious. And it's transient. It just keeps playing in your mind, and then you go from one to the other. And you'll remember when you wake up only bits and pieces of it. When it comes from the other side, you remember it, and you remember it strong, and they're trying to get through to you to do something. It was like, I saw this thing, or you'll be walking down the street, and all of a sudden the picture of the dream will come, and that's where you're supposed to see something or react to something in that respect.
Now, in Whispering Messages, can you give us an overview of the book, and then I want to ask you about soul development.
Okay. Whispering Messages is not with angels. These are conversations that I had with Jesus, and again, and I wrote a lot of them down. And again, I went back and there's a lot of stuff in here that could be of benefit to people. So I cleaned all this up, and what these are short meditative words on life, because I'm still always questioning life, you know that. And so it's an overview, and like I said, and it's Jesus, and asking us to be aware, look around you. I'm here, but you're not seeing me. So it's meditative and mindful meditative thoughts on life.
Okay, so so this is your conversation that you had with Christ, and you're the second or third person who, when they devote themselves to meditating, these messages will come through. Because I was meditating once, and this was a time I was dealing with a lot of struggle. I wanted something to happen. I felt stuck, and this probably was about 8 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago, maybe even a little longer. But I remember I was meditating with this spinning wheel, and all of a sudden what came through was The Art of Allowing and A Course in Miracles, which I read that book. But I never even heard of those books until that came through. So I can see how sometimes those messages, or if you, like you said, you have a dream and you just wake up and you know this dream is very, very important. So to talk now, what is soul development, Theresa, and why is that needed, especially if we were created perfect?
We're created perfect, are you referring to like the image and likeness of God? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Or
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, but okay, so we're in the image and likeness of God, but we come down here to experience specific things in life, and it's not everything all at once. And what that is doing is we are once we experience it and just make it a.
Hello? I think I lost Theresa. She dropped. Hopefully Theresa will be dialing back in for our listeners. She just dropped the line. We don't know what that means. Who knows? This show is about angels, so I don't know was she going to say something that maybe I or somebody else didn't want to hear. I don't know, but she just dropped, and hopefully she will dial back in. Hopefully she'll realize she's no longer connected and will dial back in. I'm going to see if I can send her an email. But just to reiterate some of the things she's saying, we want guidance. The gentleman in The Pursuit of Happiness who wrote that book, and the book is so much more than the movie. But she's back on. Let's get Theresa back on, connected. The line just dropped. I said, was she getting ready to say something I didn't want to hear, or a listener didn't want to hear? The line just dropped when you were going into answering what is soul development and why is it needed. Theresa? Hello? All right, that's odd. This is, let's try again. Hello, Theresa?
Yes, I don't know what happened. I got cut off.
Yeah,
this
the
is
line.
Theresa.
In our studio, I could see the line had dropped. I said to our listeners, was she going to say something that me or somebody else didn't want to hear? I don't know, but the line just dropped twice.
Okay.
What is?
Yeah, I'm back on now. I don't know what that was.
Yeah, I don't either. You were telling us what is soul development and why is it needed?
Okay, so, like I said, soul development is basically moving the main goal of soul development is to move the soul closer to God. It's a process. So we are here to experience different events, situations in life, and as you receive them and work through them, and you are improving your soul so that when you go to the other side, you are progressing closer and closer to God. So soul development is very, very important.
And so then that makes it so we may not do all the work to getting back to that oneness that Christ talked about, that oneness we got here. I always believed that how I leave here was going to impact how I start my next part of my journey. So to do the best here. So it would be prudent for us to seek guidance from heaven and love
absolutely.
life everywhere, and to follow that guidance. But then again, that goes to, and maybe this is a benefit the show will give somebody. There are people I know who believe the greater the struggle, just staying in a bad situation, whether it's domestic violence or somewhere the kids are being abused, some people really find value in that. They think that we're supposed to struggle and be sick and poor in this world, and that gains us heaven. I don't agree with that view, but there are people who do. So it's good when you said part of angel guidance. No, you shouldn't feel like you're constantly afflicted.
You're experiencing it, but you are to move through that experience and not stay in it, saying, this is, beating your heart and say this will, get me to heaven. It was like, no, you experience it, you recognize it as a soul development. Okay, I recognize it, dear God, dear angels, and so what's next? Move me through this and move me on. And you don't stay in it. No, you don't spend your whole life suffering and things like that. But a lot of children I think children really show us the most of accepting what life has handed them, especially the ones that are born that may be crippled or cancer. And they are smiling. They're showing you, this is what I have, this is what I've received, but I can still function. I'm okay without, with this. And children with cancer, I just love to see the smiles on their face. That's it. They've accepted the cancer, and they usually move through it. And they might be here to show us, their purpose on earth might be to show us how we are, the ones that are really suffering and saying, "Oh, woe is me." It was like, no, accept it, move on, and move on with life. But you don't.
And the same for
domestic violence and stuff like that. No, you experience it, you move on, you get out.
Yeah, and the same for children. I think the worst for children is to be emotionally, psychologically, or sexually abused, because that. You've got a lot of support when you have generally a disease as a kid. You don't get much support when you get beat up as a kid or starved or emotionally abused. There ain't too much support for that. So
no, there's not. But and hopefully awareness. We have to bring awareness to that. And the children who, and I think more adults who were abused as children are finally recognizing it and bringing awareness to that. So you're absolutely right. But for the child to get through abuse as a child, it is absolutely horrible. But if they're making it, and their role might be to bring awareness and to stop that from occurring. So there's so much to life. There's so many angles, Denise. It's absolutely incredible.
Yes. Now, are the 12 stories that are shared and hear their voices, are these based on real-life experiences that you had? If not, whose experiences are the stories in the book Hear Their Voices based on?
They are not real life experiences that I, interviewed anyone for. And the interesting thing in my angel books are the angels are the ones telling the stories. So it's the angels' point of view. So they're telling the story from their point of view to give you a different perspective on life from their point of view instead of the human point of view.
Okay. And these are real experiences that happen to other people. Now, how long did it take you to write, hear their voices, and what is that process? You were talking earlier a little bit about when you sit down to write and you're writing a book, and are these messages coming through while you're writing? Did they come through before you wrote the book? You wrote them on a notepad, then you typed them. How does this process work when it comes to actually creating a book and you're hearing these messages?
Basically, they come to me as I sit down and write. I get the feeling that messages are coming and they want me to write. So, pictures of the typewriter and a polling keeps coming. So I'll go down and I'll just sit and so I'll start the story down there and write at the computer. And so I don't get short messages or anything that I scribble out on anything. When it's for the book, I just go down and tell my husband, I says, I've got to write. And he'll say, okay, so I'll go and write. So I just sit there and listen. And before I start, I ask for protection that I receive the angels, and only the angels will come in to give me their words, and I am open to receiving them. And then I just sit there, and then messages start, words start coming, I guess you would say, in my mind, and I just start typing as much as I can. And I usually do it for about 2 to 3 hours. After that, it's real draining. So I just try to keep it. And draining meaning that I lose the concentration to hear them. So I keep it at 2 to 3 hours of actual writing.
Wow. And so you started hearing from angels just from meditating. It's not like you had an accident or something and something impacted your brain, and that's when it started. I wanted to ask you next, how did you meet the angel Cadziel? Is Cadziel like an angel that comes
that's
through
in
often?
Receive their messages, I think Cadziel is. She just came to me. She was fun to listen to, and write. And when I just started, I just received their messages. I had no idea what these stories were going to be. And what I say about this book is this book, the Receive Their Messages, starts on the other side up in heaven, where the angels are preparing the souls for their special encounters down here. The angels introduce themselves at the beginning of each story. And so Cadziel was my first one, and very, very easy and nice to work with. So I like Cadziel.
Okay.
And I didn't make anything up. All these words, I don't know anything about the stories at all the words, and everything comes from the angels, not mine. And if you'll notice in the books, the names of the characters and towns are all generic. It's the mother, the father, the sisters, brothers. There are no names. The only names in both books are the names of the angels that are involved in the stories.
Now, in Receive Their Messages, it shared that, and this surprised me, it shared that we often don't return the love that God sends to the earth realm. So the first question I wanted to ask you was, are there other realms?
There could be. Those words just came to me as to the earth realm, and I just, from my point of view, I would say yes, because I don't believe the earth is the only place of existence for souls. Now, it might be the only place of existence for the bodies and everything and life as we see it here, but there might be other places where the soul goes to for other developments and stuff. What they look like and stuff, I don't know. I mean, that's just like an educated guess. I'd have no support for that, but I just feel it. And the angels use that word earth realm, I think, several times.
Okay. Why don't we return God's love when we do want love? See, that's the thing. Like in A Course in Miracles, it talks about not so much a fall, but a separation where we feel like we are separated. And in the world of illusion, which I'm told this is, it feels real, but in reality, it's not. So it keeps focusing on wake up, wake up, wake up, that we're dreaming. And some of us are having nightmares, and some of us are having better dreams. But so why don't we return God's love when it's love we keep asking for? It's what we want. We obviously, I'm guessing, but I would love to hear your answer. It's coming through His love, and it doesn't come. We don't pick it up that way.
You're correct there. It is coming through, but what it is we're not receiving it. We're not opening up fully to receive His love and His helping hand. So I think we ourselves are doing the blocking. So to return love, it's our fault that we aren't doing it because we have prejudices and things built up that are blocking us. And so until you remove all them, and it's hard. It's really, really hard to remove, prior thoughts and prejudices and things like that to open up to actually receive and know God's love. And when you do, you are still being challenged by outside forces. So then that causes self-doubt. Yeah. So.
Okay. So can you give an example of that? So God's trying to give us love, and we don't even know it. So it comes back to God. We didn't even take it. From your angels, did you get from them any examples of God tried to love, and we literally didn't recognize it, so we didn't even take it. We didn't receive it.
When a lot of good things come our way, we don't recognize them as good things, so we don't take it. I guess I read a story. It was a saying, God's helping hand or whatever, and it wasn't called that, but a person was, think of the hurricane, and in this story, somebody came by, knocked on the guy's door, and said, you have to evacuate, get out. Remember?
Yes.
Yeah, and then finally, when
you're like, this is just an annoying salesperson, or this is just somebody coming to bother me, and it's all help.
Right, and that was God's love sending to rescue him, and then the floods came, and they tried to get him out in a boat. And he just says, no, God's going to come save me. And they went away. And then he was up on the roof, and the helicopter was going to come. He said, no, God's going to save me. Well, needless to say, the God died. And he said to God, why didn't you save me? He said, well, I sent somebody at your door. I sent the boat. I sent a helicopter. So that's like refusing God's love. Yeah. So you're kind of blind in what you're looking for. What are you looking for when God sends His love? And He sends it in many ways, but we're not recognizing it, and we're sending it away. You don't return my love.
Wow. Yes, and then you say our prejudices, our own hard beliefs can also cause us, somebody comes to be our friend, and we say we're never going to be friends with people like that. So we turn the friendship away. So these are great examples. So we have to just keep doing that inner work. Theresa, what a blessing. I would love to have you back on Off the Shelf. I don't even know if I got halfway through the questions I was going to ask you, but want to thank you for what you shared. And it is my hope and prayer and trust that somebody will listen to the show. Once it's in the archives, you can listen as many times as you want. And I did have more questions I wanted to ask Theresa, but so you can be blessed. Maybe you will receive guidance in your own life. I'm speaking to our listeners. You might receive some guidance. You might be struggling with something very challenging right now and about ready to throw the towel in on your whole life. And maybe something that Theresa shared or that was said during the show will give you insight, and you'll keep going, and you might step into a marvelous, marvelous future. So we want to thank Theresa Orecchia for being here with us. She's the author of the books Receive Their Messages, Hear Their Voices, and Whispering Messages. And somebody's going to be blessed from it. So if you are blessed from today's show, I encourage you to share it with other people. It will be available in the archives after it finishes streaming. So thank you to Theresa again, and please visit her online. She's online at TheresaOrecchia.com. Again, that's Theresa Orecchia. If you came in late, you can hear it in its entirety after it finishes streaming. Go out and enjoy an incredible day. If you're in Florida, if you're anywhere in the Caribbean, any part of the world that's not just Hurricane Irma or what you're dealing with, any challenges, take care of yourself, love yourself, stay safe, and stay open to those love messages. See you back here next Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time or New York City time. Remember, you are incredible. You're awesome. You're amazing. Go out and create a fabulous day for yourself. Theresa, I'll shoot you an email. Bye for now.